things if they're able to, actually get enough of their powerful things into play. And that's much more what the games tend to be about than just completely running your opponent's deck out of threats. So I do think that Jade Idol will be powerful in Jade Golem decks that are looking to make a bunch of big Jade Golems because, well, you can make the biggest of all Jade Golems because you'll never run out of things that make Jade Golems. But it doesn't give you the same kind of inevitability in the sense that your opponent can't beat you once you get this going because they could just still play Ragnaros and kill you with it. So anyway, that's my thoughts on all those cards. And yeah, we're going to see all of the cards coming from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan very soon, I'm sure. So let me know what your thoughts are on these cards and my thoughts and what you're most excited about. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Locked and loaded.
Hey guys, how's it going? Crane here. So we just had the final stream releasing the remaining Mean Streets of Gadgetzan cards. We also know the expansion's coming up this Thursday, December 1st, as early as it possibly could have been with the early December notice last month, I suppose. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. I will be streaming all day on that day, even before the expansion comes out. So make sure to check out my channel on Twitch if you are interested in seeing some, I don't know, might open about 1,000 packs or so, maybe more, maybe less, we'll see, but a lot of stuff is gonna go down. I'd appreciate if you guys check out the live stream that day. It means a lot to be number one when the expansions are being released. As far as the cards are concerned, I wanted to review all the remaining ones from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan today in this video. I'm going to go as quickly as I can through them, so yes, there is a little bit more to each card than I am mentioning, but I'm going to just try to get the basics for you guys, give you some idea of what I think, and probably the general worth of these cards, so you have a little bit of guidance when you're making some decks later this week. So to kick it off are a few of the cards released earlier than the stream today. We had Shadow Sensei, a Battlecry, give a stealth minion +2/+2. Obviously terrible because it's not a good card by itself and you generally don't have other stealth minions, and even if you do, there's probably a lot better things you can play for 4 mana. Sergeant Sally was an amazing card revealed earlier, and yeah, it has some significant synergies. It is extremely powerful with Power Overwhelming, and I think in general it's just pretty good in a deck that has a lot of buffs. Now, a lot of the Zoo decks just play temporary Battlecry type buffs, and I think it's pretty good in those, and a lot of the Smuggler style, at least the 3 classes that have the option to play those cards, the buff cards while they're in your hand, will also appreciate this card. Just a very smooth and nice board clear. And then White Eyes was revealed earlier this week as well. Very powerful Shaman Legendary. It's just that, it's a very powerful control card. 5 mana, 5/5 taunt, the Death Rattle, so you can summon it again through like N'Zoth effects and all that kind of stuff. Shuffles a Storm Guardian into your deck. The Storm Guardian is a 5 mana, 10/10 taunt. So crazy strong guy. It's just that it fits really well in Control Shaman, in like Reno Shaman. But all of those decks kind of excel in the Fatigue game, and we know that the Fatigue game will be dominated by Druid and their Jade Idols. So, it's really powerful in pretty good decks, but will those decks actually exist after the expansion is released? We don't know. Also to note, it is one of the most powerful cards you can get off of a Firelands portal, so there's that. I guess look forward to that in Arena. Public Defender, 2 mana, 0/7 taunt warrior card. So Smuggler style, at least the 3 classes that have the option to play those cards, the buff cards while they're in your hand, will also appreciate this card. Just a very smooth and nice board clear. And then White Eyes was revealed earlier this week as well. Very powerful Shaman Legendary. It's just that, it's a very powerful control card. 5 mana, 5/5 taunt, the Death Rattle, so you can summon it again through like N'Zoth effects and all that kind of stuff. Shuffles a Storm Guardian into your deck. The Storm Guardian is a 5 mana, 10/10 taunt. So crazy strong guy. It's just that it fits really well in Control Shaman, in like Reno Shaman, but all of those decks kind of excel in the Fatigue game, and we know that the Fatigue game will be dominated by Druid and their Jade Idols. So, you know, it's really powerful in pretty good decks, but will those decks actually exist after the expansion is released? We don't know. Also to note, it is one of the most powerful cards you can get off of a Firelands portal, so there's that. I guess look forward to that in Arena. Public Defender, 2-mana 0/7 Taunt Warrior card. So, again, you have to consider that generally the type of decks that would run, you know, very powerful, like, stall cards would be Control Warriors. How will Control Warriors actually work against if everyone is playing Jade Druids? We don't know that. If Control Warrior survives, it might be an interesting card, but otherwise, it'll largely see play with, again, the Smuggler crew. A 2-mana 0/7 is worth nothing, and as such, it'll probably be worth fairly little amount of stats. Just low value card in Arena. In Constructed, because of the Smuggler buffs and all that kind of stuff, if you can even get like a 2/2 on the guy, it should be a really big powerhouse card. You have to look at the stats in the way that the sum of the stats, 0 + 7, is equal to 7, which is usually the sum of attack and defense that you see on a 3-drop. And it has Taunt, and Taunt usually has a bit of a cost, so it has extremely high stats. You just have to adjust them a little bit with buffs and that kind of stuff, because on their own they're not great. Cabal, Song Stealer, 5-mana 5/5, Battlecry, Silence a Minion. So just a pretty good card. I don't know if silences will have that much value. It depends on which gang prevails. The Smuggler dudes have a ton of buffs. There's a lot of Smuggler decks that will start to run silences. This is an alright silence effect. I think it's mostly going to see a lot of impact in Arena. In Arena, you're probably also going to see a lot of these cards, and Silence is already very valuable there, but very hard to acquire as well. Well, Priests will have a pretty easy time with Silence, and you'll probably see quite a bit of dominance in Arena from what we're seeing out of these cards. Blast Crystal Potion, Warlock Common, destroy a minion and one of your mana crystals. Not a very good constructed card in my opinion, just because there's so many good options out there for the control style Warlock decks. They have all these new amazing board clears, they have, you know, all those old and still very relevant and powerful single target removal spells. Having this is like, I don't know, it just seems a bit overkill. Most of the time when you're playing a control Warlock deck, you really value getting to the later turn, getting a lot of mana crystals. This kind of deters you from doing that, so I just think it might work in some kind of deck, but it's going to be a deck that we haven't seen so far, so I guess there's that. But it is going to be a very powerful green card. In Arena, having hard removal in the common slot as a class card for Warlock is a really big deal. Even though Warlock does have very good single target removal in Constructed, usually those cards are not often accessed in Arena. So this will help with that a lot, and it should give Warlock quite a big boost in terms of their Arena powers. Lotus Illusionist, 4-mana 3/5 Shaman card. When this minion attacks a hero, transform it into a 6-cost minion. So I'm not actually sure how it would work, and if I use my knowledge of Hearthstone, which generally doesn't value very much as there is an insane amount of inconsistency in the game, it should be pretty powerful. It should be that you attack with this guy, you do 3 damage, and then you become a 6-cost. Because it says after you attack, it would suggest that you do the damage already. Hopefully it works that way, because I would like to not get slam dunked by, like, you know, 8 attacks on turn 4 guy. So yes, hope it works that way. It seems like a very interesting card. The Shamans do generally struggle to get the board on turn 4, especially if they're playing a card like this, so difficult to see just how powerful this card would be. This card could be extremely powerful, or it can be absolutely worthless. So this is one of the cards in the set. Streetwise Investigator, 5-mana 4/6, fair stats, Battlecry, enemy minions lose stealth. Are people playing stealth minions? They are not. So welcome to Arena. Cryomancer, 5 mana, 5/5 mage card, battlecry, gain +2/+2 if an enemy is frozen. So a pretty powerful effect, a 5 mana 7/7. I don't know if that's constructed powerful, but it's powerful. It's definitely arena powerful. The idea is that, you know, some people on stream talked about how it's powerful if you have, you know, these like freeze cards and you use like a freeze spell and you play this. It's not worth doing all of that. 5 mana 7/7 is not powerful enough to merit deliberately designing your deck around. Certainly not. But if you just happen to have water elementals, play water elemental on turn 4, attack your opponent's face, which you're gonna let him stay frozen, or, you know, just attack a minion, which hopefully it doesn't die because it has to stay alive for it to actually be frozen. Then you play this. Water elemental is a very good tempo play. This as a 7/7 would be a very good tempo play. So it's kind of like following that curve stone stuff. And again, I don't think it's that great and constructed, but in arena, if you can pull it off with water elemental, that would definitely be game changing. Freezing potion. Well, that's going to help you use that earlier effect, or not. No, this card is like very gimmicky for constructed play. Sometimes just freezing something is a game-winning effect, but that is rare enough that it's not worth to put a card like this in your deck. Though getting a card like this through the random spell generation is going to introduce some very nice plays, I believe. And the main effect of this card is that it waters out some of the mage cards from Arena. It's a common card, it's a mage card, and it sucks ass for Arena. And all those things are awesome, because Arena mages are definitely the best class out there, have been for many years now, and every time we see a card like this, it pushes mage down just a little bit. It makes it so their overall card quality is a little bit lower than it could have been, because this will show up instead of potentially a good common card. And that is a good thing. Classes will be more balanced, at least near mage, in the future from this card's existence. Ball Trafficker. 6 mana 6/6 at the end of your turn, add a random demon to your hand. So really cool stuff. The power level of demons kind of puts it a little bit below drawing a card, but if you had 6 mana 6/6 draw a card, just that, it would be a pretty good card. And this has a repetition effect. Almost all the end of turn repetition effects are very powerful cards. We've seen their impact in the past and certainly can swing the game big time. The main issue I have is I just don't know how strong control Warlock decks would really be. Control decks in general, I think, are going to suffer from the existence of Jade Druid, and Warlock decks more so than that. I think they're always susceptible to those type of decks, but they're also susceptible to just the priesty things because they have so many powerful warriors now. I think the Control Warlock lost a lot of its good matchups, and it has more bad matchups. So even though this is a fantastic and extremely powerful card, I struggle to see in which position a Control Warlock would survive. Street Trickster, Neutral Demon, not too many of those around. 3 mana 0/7 with spell damage +1. So again, we're talking about an abysmal arena card. Arena cards need to be impactful on their own. This is not. And it's probably not even that good and constructed, though I can see it maybe seeing some play in like Freeze Mage or something, because if you can have a spell damage minion stick around for more than one turn, that could be really cool. But again, it is a bit inefficient even for that. Blubber Baron. 3 mana 1/1, whenever you summon a Battlecry minion with this in your hand, gain +1/+1. So the idea is, you have this in your hand, you play a whole bunch of Battlecry minions, and hopefully it's really big by the end of the game. Usually my experience with cards like these is that they generally do not work. The main card that proved that this concept is pretty awful is Bolvar. So Bolvar, you know, can be a really good card. It's just generally not. Top deck it, it's one of the worst things ever. So I would have to imagine Blubber Baron is along the same lines. And while I like the existence of these cards because you can just make some really off-the-wall, crazy, and kooky decks and whatever with it, but you know, you can't expect this card to drive the meta anyway. Hobart Grapplehammer. 2 mana 2/2. Warrior Legendary. Battlecry, give all weapons in your hand and deck +1 attack. So This is a really powerful card generally for a face warrior deck with a lot of weapons. My experience is face warrior decks usually play about 3 weapons, smash them all in your face, and you lose. So this is like a 2-mana 2/2, deals 6 damage to your opponent's face later in the game, maybe 4 damage to your opponent's face later in the game. In both cases, pretty good stuff. So face warriors and smorkers rejoice, I suppose. Unlicensed Apothecary. 3 mana, 5/5 minion. Whenever you summon a minion, deal 5 damage to your hero. So really cool card. An extremely overstated minion would generally see a lot of play if you had a ton of spells, or if you were just using this to stall the game in order for you to get the later turns in the game. So again, could be used in either in a control deck or in an aggressive deck where you're just really going all in, though I think it would favor mostly the control style deck. And I just really love these cards that are very powerful but have a very severe disadvantage, and certainly this is that. I think it's also going to be a pretty good arena card. In arena, using your life to get a gigantic lead on the board is usually worth it. If you play this and then you just play a 4-mana card on turn 4, and then probably by turn 5 it's dead, hopefully, just taking 5 damage to get a huge lead on the board is absolutely fine. So this just seems like an extremely powerful card, but again, in constructed mostly in a control style deck, I wonder how that will go. Defias Cleaner, 6 mana, 5/7. I'm surprised it's not a pirate. I guess the Defias are not exactly pirates. Battlecry Silence being with Death Rattle. So if this card existed right now, it would be used a lot, because generally when you want a silence effect, it is exactly for a Death Rattle minion. So this card would basically be just silence. 6 mana, 5/7. Good stuff, right? But in the future, a lot of the silence effects, I think, are going to be targeted towards like the grimy goon guys, which are like the holding mechanic to play some really big and buffed up stuff. So because that might warrant a lot of silencing, this card will kind of fall short a little bit. It's difficult to say because you don't really know which gang is going to be dominant in constructing that. Overall, pretty fair arena card. Finders Keepers. Shaman card, 1 mana, discovered a card with Overload, and you overload yourself for 1. So it's kind of like those last moment desperation plays, but I think it's going to be worth it. Most of the Overload cards that Shaman has are like direct damage and removal of ward clears, and all of those are just very good, and getting just the right card in the right situation can mean a lot. So I like it. I like the card a lot, but again, you wouldn't really play this in an aggressive deck, and how would Control Shaman really fare against the existing field in the meta? I think pretty poorly. We'll see. Crystal Weaver, 4 mana, 5/4, Battlecry, give your demons +1/+1. I guess more demon lock thing. I guess, you know, discard lock works now because 1-drops are all overpowered and stuff. Now it's time to try to give demons another try. Will it work? Maybe, maybe not. Weasel Tunneler, 1 mana, 1/1 beast, Death Rattle, shuffle this minion into your opponent's deck. I really like this card. It's a 1 mana, 1/1, and it's a beast, so, you know, maybe it's like good enough for like a hunter deck or something. But the Death Rattle just basically means that your opponent will draw garbage at some point later in the game, and that's just hilarious. Whether or not this card will actually see play or not, well, probably not, but it's definitely one of these cards that is just so hilarious, so game-breaking, that I love to see. So, great stuff. Greater Healing Potion, 4 mana priest card, restore 12 health to its random character, so very powerful effect. Generally uses to heal yourself, I would imagine. It loses the flexibility on the heal conversion effects, because generally you wouldn't want to use those on your own characters, you want to use it on your opponent's characters, so it's not as flexible as most heal cards would otherwise be in Hearthstone, but still a very powerful effect just for 1 card. Sleep with the Fishies. 2 mana, deal 3 damage to all damaged minions. So, by itself, not a very good card. But if you combo this with like Whirlwind effects, you can have like, you know, 2-card board clears, extremely powerful with the Ghoul. You play Ghoul and you play this, 4 damage to all damaged minions. Usually if you're playing cards like these, you're not going to have other minions on the board. So So very efficient board clears, and that might just be the direction that Control Warrior would have to head into to survive this like crazy mid-range wave that we're probably going to see in ranked Hearthstone. Naga Corsair, 4 mana, 5/4 pirate, battle cry, give your weapon +1 attack. We saw this in one of the constructed decks that was played by one of the Blizzard guys. Didn't seem that impactful. It seems like an okay card though. You know, it's not that many pirates. It's good to see a few more. Overall, very good arena card at least. So sure. Alley Cat, 1 mana, 1/1 beast, battle cry, summon a 1/1 cat, which is almost certainly going to also be a beast. So 1 mana, 2 1/1s, punch card. Yeah. 1-drops are really powerful. That seems really powerful for a 1-drop. So I guess we're going to see quite a bit of Alley Cat. I really hate to see 1-drops, so I'm not too happy about this card. Wrathion, one of the coolest cards in the set. 6 mana, 4/5, taunt, battle cry, draw cards until you draw one that isn't a dragon. That is not a dragon. So if you have no dragons in your deck, you can't play this card, and it will just draw a card. Now, the funny part about this is, so if half your deck is dragons, you're going to draw about 2 cards, which makes the card really good, by the way. But the really funny part is if half your deck is dragons, and you somehow, by some miracle, I guess some kind of curse, maybe, draw all 15 in a row, you're going to mill almost your entire dragon base from your deck. So this card is going to produce some ridiculous highlights, and I very much look forward to seeing them. Genzo the Shark. 4 mana, 5/4. When this attacks, both players draw until they have 3 cards. Obviously, you'd want to use in a more aggressive deck, a deck that dumps its hand very, very quickly. The fact that you have control over this effect as the player plays a card makes it a pretty good card. I think in a typical aggressive deck, if you are the aggressor, when you play this and then you flood the board on turn 5, you can expect to draw 1 to 2 cards. Rarely will you draw 3, but drawing 1 to 2 cards from a card that is fairly well statted, particularly in an aggressive deck where it's attack favored, overall just seems strong. So strong effect, should have some very cool plays in some arena decks that are lucky enough to draft the card. Lucky Do Buccaneer, 6 mana, 5/5 pirate, battle cry. If your weapon has at least 3 attack, is 4/4. So Rogue is getting the Jade guys, and they have the Death Rattle thing, and now it seems they're being pushed to pirates as well. Obviously, one of these is going to have to win out, but I don't think it'll be pirates. You know, a 6 mana 9/9 seems good, but there's probably going to be much more broken stuff out there. I think if you're just playing Jade Rogue, by turn 6, one of your Jades, you know, might equalize about that stat value with the card that you're playing it from. So, a bit sketchy, I would say. Alright, and then we have the Red Mana Worm. 5 mana, 2/6, twice the stats of the original Mana Worm and twice the effect. So it's literally as if you played 2 Mana Worms, except it costs 5 mana instead of 2. So it really just goes to show how broken 1-drops are in this game. Though, I guess this card could be okay if you just had a lot of spells, but mostly we're talking arena. In arena, it might happen. In constructed, generally better things you can do with your mid-range. Mayor Nagbogger, 9 mana, 5/4. All targets are chosen randomly. So obviously this is to suggest with like spells, so if you play a spell to try to remove this guy off the board, the spell might turn around and hit you in the face. Again, some very cool highlights can be expected from that. Now, what I'm not too clear on, and I'm sure maybe by the time you watch this video it'll be found out, I don't know how attacks take place. So when you attack, you do target. You know, you do have that little arrow thing. So do attacks also get completely mixed up? If they do, I can't really say if I think it's better, but I don't know. In any case, it's definitely a meme card. So cool. We had Garrison Socialite, 2 mana, 2 Valkyrie, restore 2 health. Very similar to some of the classic cards in Hearthstone that you keep seeing play time and time again. Small heal effects like these can generate a gigantic amount of tempo, but 2/2 is a little bit weak, so it's gonna be a bit difficult to see what deck it'll fit in, but I imagine it'll fit in something, and should be a pretty good arena card. With cards like these, planning and your ability to play the game definitely gets highlighted well, so we'll have to see. Then we have Smuggler's Crane. 1 mana, give a random beast in your hand, +2/+2. So in terms of like efficiency, it's pretty good. You know, rarely do you get 2/2 worth of stats for 1 mana. But my main concern is, you know, you have to have a beast in your hand, which you might not have. But also, hunters generally struggle to find value for each card that you get because they don't really want to include too much card draw. They want the tempo up on the board as fast as possible. So this card making another card bigger might just mean that card would die to card removal anyway, which means you have 1 less card. So it just seems like not a very good deal for a hunter to play this. Greater Arcane Missiles. This is a really interesting card. 7 mana, shoot 3 missiles, each one deals 3 damage instead of 1. Now, the original effects that have these type of like missile effects, when you add spell damage to the equation, they gain missiles. So whether because it's 3 and equals 3, the way that spell damage affects this card is not going to affect the total damage, but it does, in my opinion, affect how powerful the card is. So if you have +2 spell damage, if each missile does 5, that's worse in my mind than there being 2 extra missiles. Now, based on how some other cards work, which, because it's Hearthstone, generally means absolutely nothing, generally, I think it should add extra missiles, which basically means that this card is pretty good on its own, but is absolutely insane if you can stick some spell damage into it. So we'll have to see if that is likely enough to merit playing in a constructed deck. Shadow Rager. I guess the Ragers are not done yet. It's a rogue one, and it's actually okay. A 3 mana 5/1 stealth is pretty good. So I guess we're actually going to see some Ragers see play. You know, it depends a lot on how many Roman effects are out there in the meta, but I would expect not that many, and it's obviously still going to be a pretty damn solid arena card. So, cool. Warlock Legendary. Cruelly Unshackled, 9 mana, 7/9 demon, and Battlecry. If your deck has no duplicates, summon all demons from your hand. So, again, one of these high requirement effects, one of these extremely powerful effects, but it's an all-in effect. Warlocks, particularly in control decks, and this is a 9 mana card, it's going to be played in control deck. Warlocks, even in control decks, really struggle to get an overall value from their deck more so than their opponent's control deck. So what ends up happening is you have to rely on cards like Drax and a few other cards, but this kind of goes in the other direction. It just dumps your board with all the demons you have, and if your opponent is playing a board clear, you just lost a considerable amount of value from your deck, which would make this card potentially bad. So looks exciting, but I struggle to see how this card would work even in that deck, and I also struggle to see how Control Warlock would work at all. Hidden Cache, Hunter, Secret. After your opponent plays a minion, give a random minion in your hand +2/+2. Very weak secret, but it should encourage you to play decks that are extremely reliant on buffing a very specific minion, so I don't think those decks would be like the big thing in terms of hunters, but we'll see. I think it's just a niche card. You will not see this in like just the general secret decks. You will not see this in just general hunter decks. So it's kind of a bad card that will work very well in very specific combo-ish decks, and I appreciate those cards, as you don't want to see them left. Ancient of Blossoms, 6 mana, 3/8 taunt. Neutral card, you'll be seeing a lot of this in Arena, and mostly just there. 5 mana, 3/6 taunts are pretty good in Arena, and with there being a lot more like mid-range and control cards being introduced from this set, it might be that Arena will require you to have Mons getting that stage being Shaman. So basically I'm saying it might be more important to actually have Mons in there than that. And this is a good card for me. Small-time Buccaneer, 1 mana, 1/2 Pirate, has a to attack when you have a weapon equipped. So, good road card. Otherwise, not so good. But we'll see. They're introducing a lot of pirates. I think they still have to introduce a lot more before. And that about does it. So that's going to be it for my card reviews. We're going to have to see how all of this stuff plays through. But I hope from my review, sharing some of my impressions and knowledge about the game, that perhaps I can lead you to some direction on how you're going to play the card unpack on Thursday. So, hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you guys are excited about the expansion. And I hope you guys tune in next week for Thursday. So, hopefully I'll see you guys there.
Enemy slain.
Consider your flame.
Hey guys, how's it going? Crane here. Today I want to give you guys a review and recap of a deck that has been surprisingly successful. Now keep in mind this isn't at like the best rank ever, and I did play it near the end of the month. I did get to, I think, rank 11 or so with the deck, maybe rank 12. This is it. It doesn't look like a very good deck because it don't have a lot of cards in the account that I played it. I want to highlight this because there is some really cool interaction here. It's a very different play style, and for instance I think I beat every single mid-range shaman that I played against. Now, I'm not exactly saying it's better than mid-range shaman, in fact I'm not saying that at all, but it does have some strength, and it's just a pretty cool deck. It really shows just how disappointing it is that Shaman can do so many different things right now, but everyone's still just playing the mid-range version because it's like 0.5% better. So this deck I played on my Asia account. My Asia account has I think like 100 total games played. Really just has nothing, free to play, never spent a cent on it. I got a few packs from Whispers the Old Gods. I got, I don't know, maybe like as many as a dozen classic packs. I'm just doing Tavern Brawl every week. And I paid for the first 2 wings, maybe 3 wings, I think just the first 2 in the Karazhan expansion, just with gold. And that's it. So those are the cards that I have. Nothing really all that special. But it really works. It really, really works. It's surprising how so few classes out there can really deal with like the surprise big threats that just happen to spawn on the board from evolve mechanics. And despite not having a lot of the cards I would like to play, like some of the weapons and some of the, you know, super powerful shaman cards like Trogs and all the rest, despite not having any of that, just pumping out giant minions on turn 3, 4, 5 through evolution mechanics, it just seems to really do the trick and crush your opponents. At one point the deck had over a 90% win rate. This deck. And it's like, I was playing against Secret Hunter, mid-range shaman, Secret Hunter, like, you know, weird Druid deck every now and then. Like, the same type of crap you play at every single stage of the ladder these days, and I was beating it. So I wanted to give you guys a highlight because I know a lot of you guys check out my videos, check out what other people are doing, and in the